Okay, so we are going to go over your introductory paragraph. So now that you've written your three body paragraphs, you need to work on your introduction paragraph. And your essay, again, is covering the life, career, and sort of the time period that Shakespeare, um, excuse me, in which Shakespeare was alive. So, your introductory paragraph needs to be 4 to 6 sentences and it needs to include the following things. So, it needs to start with a hook. This is one sentence and it's an attention grabber. It could be something like an analogy or a metaphor, it could be a famous quote, a shocking statement. But one thing that I really want to make sure that you avoid is a rhetorical question. So, rhetorical questions are things like, did you know that William Shakespeare wrote over 37 plays? Right? Or have you ever heard of William Shakespeare? Or um, did you know that Shakespeare was from England? Right? Like anything like that, where you're asking a question. Do not do that. Okay. That's not an appropriate hook. Um, Also, not appropriate to say, like, this essay will be about William Shakespeare, or I'm going to tell you about William Shakespeare. Okay. So avoid things like that. The next thing that you need is a bridge. So, a bridge is basically one sentence or part of a sentence. It just leads you into the summary. This is where you identify the issue or the topic that you've been researching. So, in this case, it would be William Shakespeare. Then your summary is 2 to 3 sentences, absolutely no more. It's just some necessary background information for someone who maybe doesn't know as much about the topic in order for the paper to make sense. In a biography, research at paper like this, honestly, 1 or 2 sentences is probably going to be enough. And then your thesis, which is a sentence that directly addresses the essay question that you were assigned. So in this case, discuss the life, career, and time period in which Shakespeare was alive. Personally, I prefer a 3 part thesis, which is where you introduce the 3 areas that you will be discussing in your body paragraphs. However, as long as you have a strong thesis, you will be awarded points. So I'm not going to hold you to a 3 part, a 3 part thesis. It's kind of up to you if you want to use it or not. Like I said, I personally prefer it because it just guides your writing a little bit more. So down below, I have shown a sample introductory paragraph. So, if my assignment were to write an essay about the life and the influence of Edgar Allan Poe, then I could write this paragraph as my introduction. So, for my hook, right, my 1 sentence attention grabber, I chose to use a quote. Edgar Allan Poe once wrote, I became insane with long intervals of horrible sanity. Okay, so for me, I used a famous quote from Poe. It could be a quote about Poe. It could be a quote that that person actually said. It could be like a shocking statement, like maybe I want to talk about, maybe all of the people that Poe had in his life that died of tuberculosis or something like that, right? It could be like a shocking fact or something like that. So that's my hook. Then I have my bridge. Okay, so either a sentence or a part of a sentence where you're introducing the topic. So here is my topic, right? The life of Edgar Allan Poe. Lends hints to modern readers about why he might have considered sanity to be horrible. So here I'm linking what I said in my hook to my summary. My summary is sort of part of this sentence and then this one. Poe's troubled youth and prolific yet short career give insight into a disturbed mind. So, honestly, my summary is like a sentence and a half, basically, because it's sort of like this end here to here, right? Um, and that's fine because it's really just a biography, so everything that the reader is going to need to know about your topic, you're going to tell them in the actual essay itself. Versus there's some essays that you'll write where it's going to be a little more complicated, right? Maybe you're doing a literary analysis where you need to like give a summary of the text in the introduction so then you can analyze throughout your paper. And then finally, your thesis statement. Poe is the master of American horror because of his difficult life, Gothic writing style, and lasting influence on American culture. So, as you can see here, this is a 3 part thesis statement. So, what that means is that in my thesis, I have identified 3 things that then the rest of my paper will talk about. So his difficult life. So then my body paragraphs would cover, the first body paragraph would cover his life. My second paragraph would cover his writing style, and my third body paragraph would cover his influence. Okay, so up to you if you want to do that or not. I personally think that it makes for a stronger essay, a stronger introduction. I think that it's more difficult to write one that is not in 3 parts, but it is up to you. I'm not going to confine you to that 3-part thesis. But remember that your body paragraphs cover the life of Shakespeare, um, Elizabethan England and living in England in the 1600s, and then why we care about Shakespeare today. So those would be the 3 things that you would want to incorporate in your 3-part thesis. Okay, so this is currently set for 5 points, and these are all or nothing points. So I will give you either 5 out of 5, or I will give you 0 out of 5. If I give you 0 out of 5, that means there's something that I need you to change in your paragraph, and I will leave you feedback that details what that is. Okay. Same thing with your other paragraphs, expository essay, body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. If you have full points on them, then that means that they're good to go. If you have a 0, it means that you need to revise and resubmit. The reason that I'm doing this is because I'm not physically there in person right now to help you all through writing these essays. So I really want to make sure that you're getting good feedback and applying it. We will then eventually next week, let's see, this is Thursday, so it'll be on Monday, we will write your conclusion and we will put the whole essay together. I should be there in person for that. And then that is what will actually be fully graded. So these paragraphs here, this is like just sort of like checking off the list, right? Complete, incomplete points. But then your full essay will be graded after you've turned the entire thing in. So if you have questions, of course, you can Zoom with me, or you can send me an email or a Canvas message and let me know.